my grandma was a fantastic woman. I remember when we were young and she would sit us down and talk to us about the dreams that she once had. To become an author or to maybe own her own bookstore. But these were made impossible to my grandma because of the misconceptions that she was bound to. She was married and she was a housewife. And society saw her as just those two things. She was not allowed by her husband to work or to continue her education. And society saw her in the same light. She was a housewife and her job was to be a mother and to cook and to clean. And this made me think of what inequalities gender still plays, especially in the workforce. And I have been researching gender inequality for about 4 years now, and I've come to the conclusion that equal pay for equal day's work is completely altered now. And so today I'd like to talk to you about 3 things. The misconceptions that are still in society, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Act, and what this act does and how it's beneficial. Now, unfair pay still exists. Women make only 77 cents to every man's dollar. African American women make only 64 cents to every man's dollar, and Hispanic women make only 54 cents to every man's dollar. Another sad misconception of females is that we are only housewives. According to Joanna Brenner, the author of Feminist Political Discourses, Radical versus Liberal Approaches to the Feminization of Poverty and Comparable Worth, a society of free contracting males relies on the prior existence of non-contractual relationships of the family. Women and children are regarded as dependents of men, and how they fare depends on the effort and the pluck of their male protectors. However, in reality, the number of single female parent households, and female breadwinners has increased drastically. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, since 2007, the number of men working full-time, year-round with earnings has decreased by 6.6 million. You may be wondering, with all this inequality, is there anything being done about this? This is where I'd like to introduce the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Act. This was originally started by a lawsuit that was filed by Lilly Ledbetter. Lilly Ledbetter was in a position of management for 9 years at Goodyear Tire Company. Everything was going fine until one day she got an anonymous tip, and this tip stated that she made thousands less than her male counterparts. Distraught, Lilly filed a lawsuit, and she won. Except this got taken to the Supreme Court where it got overturned. Their justification was that she didn't file in 180 days from her first discriminatory paycheck. There are some flaws with this logic. One, she didn't know. She had no reason going into this position to believe that there was going to be unequal pay or that she was going to have to research the paychecks of her male counterparts. So this act clarifies that every new paycheck that is unequal is an act of discrimination and therefore allows an additional 180 days to file. Now, is this it? Is this huge piece of legislation that we're talking about? Well, each small act, even a small piece of legislation, is an act towards human rights. Females have been fighting for equal rights for years upon years. In history, according to Kim Blankenship, author of Bringing Gender and Race in U.S. Employment and Discrimination Policy, business leaders consistently opposed equal pay bills. Yet they acknowledged that, in most circumstances, sex discrimination was not in management's interest. Both the National Association of Manufacturers in 1942 and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in 1948 adopted a policy of equal pay for equal work. But this doesn't mean that we're done. 60 years later, according to an article entitled Shortchange, Why Women Get Paid Less Than Men in Bloomberg Businessweek, stated that the Equal Pay Act that Kennedy signed in 1963 prohibited discrimination on account of sex in the payment of wages by employers engaged in commerce or production of goods for commerce. Yet nearly half a century later, in the beginning of 2012, females were still only making 82.2% of males' earnings. Each small piece of legislation helps us get towards this eventual goal of equal pay. And it also helps us towards a bigger goal of equal rights for females. When Judge Linda M. Zvanzi was asked about what changed in female rights, she responded, "What's changed is that there is no longer a singular female voice. What's changed is that we now occupy institutional powers. Our voice is being heard. Our power is being reallocated. Cultural values are changing. And when cultural values change, women and men put a stop to that which is oppressive. and which goes against our collective and shared values. And then they guide our communities towards their highest and best capabilities. There are still misconceptions, and there is no question that these things still exist. However, little things, little pieces of legislation like the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Act are all working towards ending this inequality. And the important thing is that we never stop. We never stop trying. However small the strides, we are still making strides. Lilly Ledbetter herself once said, "I'll never see a cent in the salary I lost over all those years at Goodyear. My case is over and the Lilly Ledbetter law won't help Lilly Ledbetter." But in recognizing what's right and fair, President Obama's leadership has reaped a much richer reward. Knowing that my daughter, my granddaughter, and every other woman in America will never again feel helpless when they don't receive an equal day's pay for an equal day's work. I bring this image back to my grandma and how she would preach to us that we need to follow our dreams because she wasn't able to. And I find solace in the fact that me nor any of my male or female counterparts will ever have to be bound to our misconceptions. Thank you.